Yeah, I'm excited. Honestly, I think this is going to help prepare us for postseason. NC2A postseason. So, the environment, the atmosphere, all of that is just only going to help us prepare for NC2A. So, I'm actually really excited. I'm excited to experience my first conference tournament and get going. South Carolina, that weekend was just, I felt like I was in the twilight zone, to be honest with you. We didn't really do anything really well that weekend. We pitched decent on Saturday. We were in the game. We just couldn't find our bats, and we didn't make any breaks. We didn't, make any luck. I mean, it was just one of those weekends that, especially after watching it again this week, it was hard to watch. And so I'm really excited for us to come out and play our game. I think we've done a good job since that series of bouncing back from some tough series, having a chip on our shoulder, putting together better at bats, putting together some better pitching performances. So the one good thing about the single elimination is we have 5 pitchers, and so we're going to have that ability. We're not trying to wait to see, okay, for the next game, we're going to throw everything, at them in this first game. And so I think we're going to do a much better job in the box. We're going to play clean defense. And obviously we've played well on this Arkansas field. So I'm feeling good about it.
Coach, how eager do you feel like the girls are to show, that obviously, like you mentioned, against South Carolina, they can perform better, and then against Georgia, potentially, that y'all are just a much different team than you were at that point?
Yeah, it's funny. Yesterday when we were watching film, a couple of them came up to me and they're like, we're on our personal vendetta tour pretty much, our payback tour. And so we get a chance at South Carolina. The winner of our game plays Georgia, which, we got swept by Georgia. 2 very, very competitive games, and then Sunday's game was not. And then last year we got swept by Auburn. And so kind of if the bracket plays out, which I hadn't looked that far ahead, but of course leave it to the 18 to 22-year-olds that they had. And they're like, check, check, and check. And I'm like, oh, I love this. Like, you guys are starting to get my attitude problem. So, I'm looking forward to us coming out with just a lot of excitement, a lot of intensity, and really focus. All of us here have seen us when we play really, really good ball, and I know we can hang with anybody in the country. And it's not a 3-game series, so anybody can beat anybody in one game. So I'm really excited, and I really like where our heads are at.
How much do you, in terms of your pitching strategy for the weekend, is it sort of like a overall team strategy, or are you still keeping some of those team matchups kind of in your back pocket to see how it goes? Or in terms of planning that out, how do you go about that?
Yeah, we're gonna go after every game. I think it's important for us as we continue to elevate the program. Last year was the first time that A&M had won a tournament game, and basically got us to this game that we're going to compete in tomorrow. And so that was one of my challenges to our team, is that in order for us to continue to get better, and you think about last year where we were at this time and this year where we're at currently, it's a much different conversation. We're not stressing about making it to postseason. And honestly, I told them if we hadn't kind of laid an egg against South Carolina, we'd be in the conversation of hosting. And I said, look at that progression, but also be angry at the fact that that's the reason why, and you're about ready to play them again. And so, there's just so many things that I think that this game will really, really means to our program, and helping us continue to elevate it to the next level.
Trisha, what about their stud pitcher? Last time, she didn't have a lot of strikeouts, 1 per inning. You got like 6 walks, but you really didn't do much, but yet you had the walks. Are you going to change the approach to her, against her, or what about that?
Yeah, I think we did a couple of things. It's been a theme for us. When we attack early in the count, we're a much better team. When we wait till we have 2 strikes, it becomes much tougher. It's not really rocket science, but sometimes, you have to remind them. So that'll be something that we really address and continue. We've done some things from being able to match her angles and her steepness of her pitch that we've been able to practice this week, and we'll continue to do it today, that will give us more reps. The more you see a pitcher, the more likely you are to be successful off of them. And the one thing that I said, if you look at the games that she's lost, she's given up 4 runs. So that's really where our heads are at. We've got to score at least 4 runs in order for us to have a shot tonight, or tomorrow night, I should say.
Coach, just curious, is there an update on Keely Williams' health? I just know she's been dealing with that back injury for the last couple of weeks, and how much has the week that you have had helped not only her, but the entire team from a health and fatigue standpoint?
Yeah, so Keely is still out. We're progressing nicely, though. She's had a really good week, so I'm hoping next week we'll have some good news, to be honest with you. She's doing a lot of things. She's starting to be able to progress back to some softball activity, some rotational things. So I'm excited to kind of see what that looks like. But honestly, Star Ferguson's done a tremendous job for us. And she's really like the next man up, and she's done a great job with taking on that role. So this week we've had a little balance of some high intensity practices. We've done some live situations. I always like to get them back out there. And in that compete mode, especially our pitchers. And then we've given them a couple days off. So we, played Houston on Wednesday. We gave them off on Thursday. And then we practiced pretty hard on Friday and Saturday, gave them off Sunday, and then practiced yesterday. So a little bit of a balance. We like I said, we did a little scrimmaging. We did some live at-bats. We did some live bunting another day. But really, Coach Harger wanted to spend some one-on-one time with hitters, so we did some small group work. So it's kind of nice. They were actually going through finals, as you all know, and so that's all done now. So it's softball here on out. So I'm pretty excited about that. I always tell them it's my favorite time of the year, that and when we can bring them back in January. So don't say that out loud though. But yeah. So now our heads are really focused in on our task at hand.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about how this team has evolved since when you got them? And, you said earlier how they've kind of taken your attitude and basically run with it.
Yeah, I think when I took over the program, they were really, I think the one common theme was we want to be pushed, we want to be coached hard. And I was like, okay, do you really? Because I'm your girl, and so I think they've really embraced us. They have done a good job, and everything's not smooth, and but we've persevered. And I really think that the last 2 series, the SEC series, really kind of showcase where we're at today. And what I mean by that is the Ole Miss series, obviously we lost the Friday night one in a heartbreaker. Like I said, everybody knows it got a little chippy. I wanted to see how they responded, because I'm somebody like, we're not backing down. Like we're not starting it, but we're going to finish. And, your play speaks volumes. And I was really impressed and surprised in a good way of how we responded and how we kind of took that series. And then the Mizzou series, there's a lot of emotions that weekend. I've said before, the senior weekend is not my favorite weekend because I feel like we get too mushy and emotional. And I'm like, we need to win ball games. Like, we can worry about this stuff, after the year. But I thought they did a really good job of, obviously, Friday's game didn't go our way, and then coming back, Saturday and Sunday, we had Julia's dad on the other side of the dugout. We had senior weekend. We had a lot of things, and I felt like we did a good job of keeping our focus, keeping our heads right. And then that Sunday game, the last piece of that is we were behind, being able to battle back and then put them away with another 4 runs, late in the game.